Welcome back to another episode here of the Crash Out League. It's your host, A-Dub, and I'm with my co-host, Manny Boy. There's a lot that went on last week, as you know. It was the first round of the playoffs, and the playoff scenery here in the Crash Out League in the first two rounds is win or go home. So you all know what that means. Two teams moved on, and two teams packed it up to get ready for the next season. And we here to let you know everything that went down this way. But I'm gonna tell you once again, here in the Crash Out League, you can never expect what's gonna happen. Manny, go ahead and take it over.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, listen, hey, first round of the playoffs is over and done with. And for some of you who maybe had a very nice Monday or a not so pleasant Monday, could have possibly sent you out of the playoffs. So this is how your league set up. But nonetheless, here in the Crash Out League, we had two rounds, two teams, two sides of the bracket going at each other. And sure enough, we'll start off with Smooth Criminal taking on Mills Mafia. You see it there at the top. The champ is no longer on the journey to repeat. He is out and done. Smooth Criminal takes on the win, 113-108. We'll talk about those scores a little bit later in the show, but what a story. Smooth Criminal didn't think they were going to make it to the playoffs. Now find themselves here. Hey, get yourself a win in the first round. You're on to the second. He, unfortunately, will have to go face the big man up north in Coach Lucky, taking on what has been one of the most consistent teams, I would say, throughout the entire league
for sure.
In Team Luck. And so we will see how that one pans out. And then on the other side, MoCity Menace taking on Team Fabo. And unfortunately, Team Fabo not able to get the win. The rookie is out of the playoffs. MoCity Menace using his expertise, putting up a big time 148.42. Really just flexing the muscles big time, right? I mean, just a big time win in the first round. He is on his way to go see Mike, and God bless Kamerica. Two big time games happening on both sides of the bracket, and couple lefts and rights thrown.
Nah, for sure. I mean, you got a almost so close game right here between the defending champ and one of the previous champs, the Smooth Criminal Mills Mafia right here, low scoring. And then you got not so close game between MoCity Menace and Team Fabo. Just a vet flexing his muscles, showing the rookie, welcome to the league type of game right here. Unfortunately, it had to come in the playoffs and it sent them home. But it's a life lesson for you, coach. Take it, evaluate it, come back next season stronger and better, and maybe come back for a little revenge game. When you see MoCity Menace during the season next season, but unfortunately, like we said, two teams got to go home for two teams to advance, and the two teams that advance were Smooth Criminal and MoCity Menace.
So those two that are out will face off against each other for fifth place, but the other two will move on once again, facing the two highest seeds in the league. But we got to talk about what we always talk about, the crash out of the week. It is the Crash Out League, crash out of the league, and this time, folks, we got two for you. We have two for you. And you know what? They faced off against each other. Smooth Criminal and Mills Mafia are our two crash outs of the week, and either one of them aren't fantastic. I think I'll start off with the lesser of the two evils. Smooth Criminal, a big-time coaching insufficiency, just not putting in the right guys. And luckily, he was able to squeak by with a win. We were going to give him that no matter what. You got yourself a dub. But, man, this could have gotten a lot closer. This could have been a lot worse because he just wasn't plugging and playing in his right guys.
Right. I mean, when you got somebody on your bench going for 28, almost 30 points, and you got players that's in your lineup not even giving you double digits, how can we not put you in the category when we talk about crash out of the week? You're not doing your job. You're lucky that the team that you had did enough for you as players
right
to back you up. because in a real intense type of game where a coach is doing at their best, that type of coaching is not going to get you no wins. That type of coaching is going to get you sent home and potentially get you fired from the organization. So, hopefully he learns from that and able to bounce back from that, as he goes up to the North to play Team Luck over there, who's been the most efficient and consistent coach going on in this league. But
Yeah,
another
I mean,
crash
A
out
Dub,
of the week. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, listen, you're getting into the final four. There's no room for error. There's no
Yep.
room for mistake. You got to make sure that you got this thing locked down, pat. But again, at the end of the day, right? That's why we love this sport so much. That's why we do stuff like this. Because at the end of the day, you got to roll in with the guys that you have. So I mean, you get the win. It wasn't the best day for Mills Mafia. So, but hey, certainly got to pick that up if Smooth Criminal wants to continue to move on. And as A Dub was saying, take it away, man. Who's our second crash out of the week?
So we just gonna go to the other side of the pond, same game. We gonna put Mills Mafia on this pedestal right here for crash out of the week. Now, most might be confused about it. If
Woo.
you're not on the insights, if you're not in the rooms to know what's going on, you might be a little confused about this one. Like,
Yep,
yes,
yep,
he
yep,
put up a low
yep.
scoring, but he went over 100 and things like that. But the things that you guys don't know, which caused him to be able to sit home this week, there was a big time trade that happened right before the deadline happened, right before the playoffs, the week
Talk
before
to
the
him.
first round of the playoffs. MoCity Menace sent over Kyler Murray, Arizona quarterback. Mills Mafia sent over Brock Bowers, tight end, Raiders, to MoCity Menace.
Woo.
Those two teams swapped right before the playoffs started. And if you are here and you listening, you a fantasy player. And we all know what Brock Bowers just did this past
Yeah.
weekend. Brock
That's
Bowers
right.
went for over
That's
30
right.
points in fantasy. One of the Mills Mafia's main pieces the whole season running a double tight end with him and McBride, with McBride going for 25, Bowers going for 30. If he just kept Bowers instead of looking on to the next week where he needed a quarterback, he would have got the win this week. So we have to put him in crash out this week because he overlooked his opponent this week because he was getting ready for his opponent next week. And that ultimately put the dagger in him and helped him lose this past week. Quite unfortunate, man.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly a big thing to kind of think about it, though, because one thing that you're thinking about really is, okay, the waiver wire is still a thing. There's still a
Mm-hmm.
lot of quarterbacks out there that can do
Mm-hmm.
enough for you.
Right.
Even if they're not top tier, again, it depends on who are they playing, what's the defense they're going up against. Have they been starting to like get their foot and going things like that? Again, I'm sure a lot of people maybe not had famous Jameis, but if you pick him up, he's starting to ball out. So really, it's a questionable move for sure. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's what got him sent home. So he's going to be playing for fifth while Smooth Criminal moves. And I think what really puts salt in the wound is the fact that MoCity Menace moves on to the next round of the playoffs. That's a big thing for him. So nonetheless, two crushes to the league going head to head against each other last week. One prevails. Smooth Criminal moving on. MoCity Menace as well. Team Fabo and Mills Mafia, the previous champ, no longer in the hunt for a two-peat as they will fight for fifth place. But as we continue to look on, we got to think about, we can't live in the past. Think about the now. Think about what's coming up. Week 2 of the playoffs. Hey, Dub, go ahead and pull it up for us.
Sir.
So as we talked about earlier, and I'll go ahead and let A-Dub really paint the picture for you, but just to let you know, Team Luck, Smooth Criminal, and GBK versus MoCity Menace. A-Dub, take it away.
All right, here we go. We got the playoff picture, crash out edition, just like last week. Let's just go ahead and review everything. Our top two contenders that we had the bye week was Team GBK with Coach Mike, and it was Team Luck with Coach Lucky. And the bottom four contenders, who was all in the race to try to make it to the next round, was Mills Mafia, MoCity Menace, Team Fabo, and Smooth Criminal. And this is what the bracket looked like. But like we said, only two teams can move forward, and two teams got to go home. Therefore, there's 4 teams left fighting to crown themselves at the end as a champion and hold that LeBron trophy. And that teams are Team Luck, GBK, MoCity Menace, and Smooth Criminal. Now, the matchups for the semifinals and the Crash Out League playoffs, we're gonna start off up north with the number 1 team, Team Luck versus Smooth Criminal. Number 1 versus number 6. You can't paint this story any better. You got Team Luck, who's been consistent dominant all season, rarely makes mistakes. They are offensive powerhouse, putting up the most points in a regular season, and the only team to put up 1,500 points before the playoffs has even started. And they have great depth where they could change out anybody, where his bench is constantly going crazy week in and week out. But then he going against Smooth Criminal, who has strong momentum, winning the last 6 out of 7 games, is a clutch performer as a coach, getting in tight wins and putting up high points. And I think the best thing about a number 6 team, they have nothing to lose. The number 6 teams are always the organizations who has fought and clawed their way into the playoffs, and nobody even expect them to be at this point. So that's a big thing that Smooth Criminal has going for him. Then we got the other side of the bracket down south, where Team GBK is hosting MoCity Menace coming in. Team GBK with Coach Mike, they're resilient. They have nothing but playmakers on their side of the ball that they could plug in at any moment, depending on matchups, and go high in scoring. They're the most explosive team in the league. One week they could go for 120, and then the next week they'll put up the highest points, putting up 160, 170. So you just never know which side of the burn you could get, but just know GBK can go. Then you got MoCity Menace, also have an explosive offense. But the thing that they have going for them, most importantly, they have the most complete roster. Now with Mills Mafia added in Brock Bowers to his organization, the only piece that they was missing was having a good tight end. And now that they have it, I believe that this organization has the most complete team out of the 4 that's remaining. This team plays with no fear. They come in thinking that they are the best. They've been going through the whole season. Even though they began losses, it's because they've been playing people at their best. But if they playing anybody else, they would be dominating this league right now. So knowing that, they know that they should have no fear playing anybody because they can hang and beat the best of them. And the final thing that they have going for them is just playoff momentum. That's the thing. When you go on a bye week versus a team that's coming out the first round, they already know what it's like to go into somebody's stadium and go and get a win while you just at home. And that's an advantage that the teams that play in the wild card rounds have to go get that win, get that momentum, and get that courage and all the things built up for themselves to go ahead and go into the next round, carry it in to go get a win.
Yeah, I mean, both these matchups are going to be really tough. Again, like you talk about, Smooth Criminal has nothing to lose. They weren't supposed to be here. You know, that's what the big thing that everybody's talking about. They weren't supposed to be here. And it's like it's really that Cinderella story, 6 against 1. Prove yourself again, you know, and Smooth Criminal has been tested over and over to prove himself again over and over. So we will really see how this one kind of boils down to. And then on the other side, yeah, God Bless Kamerica and MoCity Menace. These two teams have been very consistent in terms of putting up big numbers throughout the season. Just sometimes it didn't roll the way MoCity Menace needed it to. He could have easily been the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed sitting in himself. But at the time of being that we're filming this right now, yes, I believe MoCity Menace is really one of those most well-rounded teams in this league. Getting Brock Bowers, really, he's going to be dangerous. And if either one of these two top-seeded teams don't take their opponent seriously, it's going to be early night. Good night, Irene. You know, because you can't do that. We saw that happen in the first round. Can't happen here. So it's going to be super, super exciting to see these. And as we continue to talk about the playoffs, really, it's worth mentioning right? Are Smooth Criminal and MoCity Menace, are they underdogs, or do they really have the power to go toe to toe with these two top seeded teams?
I mean, me personally, I think it'd have to be a split for me. When we talking about Smooth Criminal, I'm gonna go ahead and label him as a underdog. Just based off last week, not plugging in the right players is really gonna hurt. And this week specifically, he's missing two big time players in Joe Mixon and Terry McLaurin. So it's gonna be tough trying to replace those guys to go and play in the powerhouse at home with Team Luck up north. So I'm gonna label them as an underdog. Now, if you want to talk about who's a real threat, is MoCity Menace. They're not just any underdog that we see in IL just because they're lower ranked than Coach Mike. They have a well-rounded team that it could explode at any moment. He literally have players who can go ahead and put up low scores, and the other players on his rosters will pick it up for him. So I would expect this game to be high scoring between those two, just because MoCity Menace just brings that type of threat of explosiveness.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. But, with all these expectations comes pressure, right? There's a lot of pressure going into this week. So, again, you got to think about what team, singular team, just one of them, is under the most pressure to win this week. And to me, I think I got to go with Team Luck, simply for the fact that we've been raving about him all season long. He's a number one seed. You're going against the 6 seed, who, again, you think might not even be here, should be here. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of expectation to live up to. And if he can't do that, man, I think it makes this whole season for naught. Because again, the way that Coach Lucky talks is, man, it's championship or nothing. And so just losing to the 6 seed, letting him get to the championship, I think, I think it really hurts him in the end. Because end of the day, MoCity Menace, yes, he has some pressure, but he's been playing some good football. And so you can see that game going either way. But here on the other side of the bracket, Smooth Criminal has a championship already. They've got
Mm-hmm.
they've got a ring under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
They got a championship under their belt. Team Lucky doesn't. So
Yeah.
I think I gotta go most pressure. I think this gotta be with Coach Lucky.
Okay. And speaking on that matchup between them two, Team Look has been steady all season long, consistent. We keep repeating that, praising him for that. What's one thing about his organization that they gonna have to do to be able to pull this off? To go ahead and Smooth Criminal's Cinderella story. What does he have to bring this week?
I think simply this is gonna be purely from a coaching standpoint. You can't overthink it. You can't overthink it. You can't do too much. Yes, this is a beautiful story. Yes, he's a good friend of yours. Yes, you want to make sure that, you guys stay amicable by the end of the season. But hey, you got cash on the line, and you got a Lombardi on the line, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
trip to get there. And I think the biggest thing that he's got to do to be able to end this run is don't overthink it. Trust in what you've done all season. Be able to make the smart decisions. Because again, we've seen this time after time, right, A-Dub? It's been one of those things where a coach thinks, man, I'm big braining this. There's this one guy who hasn't gone off for most of the year, but this is the week he's due. No, no. I think about the saying, if it looks like bullshit and it smells like bullshit, then I promise you it probably is. So again, I think the biggest thing for Coach Lucky is just don't don't find yourself overthinking this matchup. Yes, he's a very good team, but you're number one seed for a reason. You got to trust in your guys. Got to do what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do nothing but agree with you on that standpoint. I mean, play your guys, play the ones that you have the utmost trust in, and just live by it. Whether you fall on this sword or you continue to pick it right back off the ground and move up to the next half of the season, right there at the championship, you're right there. I'm talking about you're 1 week, one game away for playing for that Lombardi Trophy. So why would you try to test anything in this moment? Go with the guys that you trust in. And just a little insight with these two coaches right here. They're 1-1 on the season. Coach Luck got the better one first. Smooth Criminal got to bet on him in the second half to be able to get in the playoffs in the first place, you know? And these two organizations couldn't be no different. I'm talking about all the way going back to draft day, Manny. Remember, Coach Luck came into this saying, I'm here to prove that a running back system is the way to go now. We're done with wide receivers in PPR leagues. Running backs are here and they're going to be able to get you to win if you draft correctly. And that's when he went and got Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Kyron
Right.
Williams. That's his
Right.
three-headed
Yeah.
dragon right there. And if I don't see those three in this week, I don't think coach is taking this game that seriously. I don't think he does. Because Smooth Criminal will come with his three-headed dragon this week that he drafted on draft day. And that's Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, and CeeDee Lamb. We're going to see this week whether or not in a PPR league, is it going to stay in a receiver heavy type of league, or is it time for the running backs to take over?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's one of those things where are we seeing the change of guard? You know, are we seeing this whole thing? Is Coach Lucky really one of those genius GMs that you think about that changes how we play this game for a long time? Or
Mm-hmm.
do we stay tried and true? Get your receivers, get your receptions, get you 1 point every time they catch a ball. So surely big time thing going on right now on that side. And then yeah, GBK, MoCity Menace. GBK has had one thing that we noticed early in the season was he was a good team, but he started to falter a little bit. He had a string of losses, and then he finally got back on the tracks. Then he started to get going. Then he found himself up to here number 2. It's really the biggest thing to me is what team are we going to see this week in terms of GBK?
Mm-hmm.
What team are we going to see? Are we going to see that team that's that dominating, man, they're scary to play. You know they're going to put up 130 plus. Or is it going to be one of those, man, we're barely squeaking to get to 110, 120? So I think right for me, MoCity Menace has got to say, you know what, man, whether it's there or not, I got to pretend like I smell blood in the water. And I got to
Yeah.
go get this thing. Because
Yeah.
if I try to, do this brain on brain matchup and his piece to my piece and all that other stuff, it's not going to go. It's not going to go. You got to pretend like you smell blood in the water and you got to go get that thing, whether it's there or not. Because if it's not there, at least you fought every last bit of you to get yourself this win instead of trying to play it safe. And you know what, man? I could have played this guy. I could have played that guy. It should have been a better performance from.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, in this game, it's all about who's going to be more explosive. I can't strategically
Right.
give you anything. I can't break anything down for you guys because when I say these two teams are the most explosive teams in this league, you just don't know what you're going to get. But just like Manny just explained, they also have their floors when they're not so explosive. So it's gonna be whether or not who gonna show up, who not, and if both of them show up, which is what we want and what we love, who gonna go get it and who gonna take that blood, sniff it out, and hunt it down. That's all it's gonna ultimately come down
Yeah.
to. And
Yeah.
speaking up on that, since we already on that topic, what's gonna come down to, Manny, you got two games going on this week. Two major games going on this week. Up north, you got the number one team, Team Luck, versus the number 6 Cinderella team, Smooth Criminal, in a one-time week game. Then down south, you heading to Team GBK with Coach Mike at number 2 versus MoCity Menace at number 4 with Coach Priest. What is your predictions? Who are we going to be talking about next week when we come back on the show? Whose season's still going to be alive?
I'm gonna say this, man. It's always tough as a media member when they ask for your prediction, right? Because it's one of those things you just want to enjoy the game. But we're here, we have the platform, and we've been lucky enough to do this for this long. So I think 1-6, simply because 6 is missing 2 big pieces. I got to go with 1. I got to go
Mm-hmm.
with Team Luck. Again, I think it's one of those times we see this in the NFL, man. Teams get injured at the wrong time. And you're just one of those where you're like, God, if you still had that dude, man, you'd be on fire right now. So I got to go with Lucky. But on the other side, I'm actually going to take MoCity Menace. On the other side, I'm taking MoCity Menace on this one. I'm walk in, take it over, and take it back. And I think we got ourselves a 1-4 matchup going into the chip for the 2 weeks. Again, these two guys have been so explosive. I can see that game going either way. But if you told me, man, you're right here, right now, put your credentials on the line. Who you going with? I gotta go with MoCity Menace on this one, A-Dub. So, but again, God, this is one of the most exciting times, man. Final four time to go get yourself a championship. So, very exciting, A-Dub. What about you, man? You're here with me each and every week. What you got going on?
When it comes to the playoffs, you just don't know. I'm talking about teams come out of nowhere and surprise you. You got teams that handle business that put you down
Absolutely.
like a dead dog. I mean, you just don't know where it's gonna go.
Yep.
Smooth Criminal is missing two major pieces. I'm talking about so major. Last week, combined those two, if he plays both of them, gave him 40 points, almost 50 points. So when you missing that going into a big time game against the number one team, it's kind of hard to replace
Right.
that. You're gonna have to ask a lot from your other
Yep.
members and everything. You just gotta hope that they can show up and do enough. But with that being said, I'm gonna continue to ride with Smooth Criminal. I mean, I picked them as my
Okay.
dark horse
Hey.
here in
Yep.
this playoff round, and it'll be wrong for me to abandon ship at this point. This organization is a proven
I
winner, like we
respect it.
stated. They have won the championship here in this league. They know how to get there and get it done. They know what it takes. So I'm around with them to go ahead and fill the spaces that they know they could get from somewhere else to go ahead and get the players to plug in. So I'm around with Smooth Criminal on that side of the bracket. Now, when it comes to GBK and MoCity Menace, look, this could go either way. If I could say both of them, I would. You know what I mean? Honestly, I wish they was on two different sides of the bracket and we was talking about them in the championship. Cause this game right here is gonna be a championship caliber game over here. It's gonna be high scoring and high stakes. But me personally, I'm gonna ride with GBK and Coach Mike. And this is why I say that.
Ooh.
Coach Mike last season as a rookie made it to this exact round. The game before the championships, where he went down against our previous champion, Mills Mafia. And in that game, Manny,
Oh.
was the highest point score ever in that season. This wasn't no lopsided. I'm talking about if they was both on the opposite sides of the bracket, they would have met in the championship because there was nobody else closer to him on the other side of that bracket. Coach Mike knows how to put up high points, but not only that, he has the motivation that I was here last year and I'll be damn if I let myself stop here once again. I'm going to that ship. And I think that extra chip right there is going to get him there over MoCity Menace and Coach Breach.
Woo. Love playoff football, man. That's basically what
Love
it comes
that.
down to. Love playoff football, man. That's all it
Shit
is.
different.
Right? Now, I do want to take a moment, A-Dub, and I want to highlight a couple teams that we have not talked about this entire
Okay.
episode. There were two
Okay.
other games that happened this week,
Mm-hmm.
and some may refer to them as the toilet bowl, but don't tell these teams because they're fighting. They're clawing, they're scratching, they're going at it. So as you can see there, Team Fuck'em gets the win over running back. Now, this started off as a pretty good season for Coach Cam. Unfortunately, faltered towards the end. But putting up 141 is a very nice win. But you look on the other side, 138, they were going at it. This was a 3-point game. So could have gone either way. Shout out to those two coaches fighting back and forth. And then, got to give him his props. DMV Bombers gets a win. So it didn't matter that they finished at the very bottom in the regular season. They are not last place. Congratulations to those two coaches getting a win on the other sides. Taking a look at what's going on in the playoffs, hey, message to you two coaches. This could very well be you next season. That we're talking about you throughout this entire episode. So stay locked in, stay focused. And hey, again, this is all for pride. And we all know that each one of these coaches is very prideful. They're going to want to continue to fight and claw and really get their position well. So we'll see how that one goes. But
I mean, Manny,
really,
they
congratulations to those coaches.
They really should take this, look at this, and look at the playoffs that's going on right now. 3 of these organizations in the toilet bowl, if they play in these playoffs, they beat 2 of the organizations, if not 3 of the organizations that's in the playoffs right now. So take this as motivation. Just because you down here in the toilet bowl don't mean you can't compete. Any given week, it shows you can. You can compete. You can get these wins and be able to go in the playoffs and climb into it. So don't fall, you know what I'm saying, getting in your feelings or maybe, want to give up and quit. Look at it. Like, really look at it. We have a playoff game in the toilet bowl that was better than the actual playoff game, Manny. 141 and 138. That's a game that's better than both playoff games that we just had.
They were fighting.
So just take this as motivation as you're going into your off season and continue to not finish last here in this league. But God damn it, congratulations to your organizations, that's still fighting to the end and putting up high points, man. I just gotta give you guys y'all flowers, man. Keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Absolutely. So as we continue, start to come to the wrap up, man. Once again, the segment that we do all this for, the league that we do all this for, our NFL games of the week, key NFL games happening around the league that you got to go ahead and keep your eye out for, right? One, we're going to start off. It's a North matchup out in the snow. Packers versus Lions. Thursday night football, 7:15 p.m. Central Time, 8:15 p.m. I think we just skipped that one. Let's just skip that one. Let's just move on to the next one.
What?
We got.
Hold on. What?
Hey, Doug, who do you have with the Packers versus the Lions on Thursday night football?
Why you saying that like you know who I'm gonna pick? Why you saying that like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay. You can read my mind.
I'm sorry.
And know what's on top of my head right now. Like you don't know that. You're not a psychic.
Right. It's just we spend so many of these weeks together. You know what I mean? That like I feel like I start to get to know you a little bit. You know, we start to. But that is completely my fault. Hey, Dub, who do you think is gonna win versus the Packers and the Lions?
It ain't no other choice but the green, baby. I'm gonna taste that green all day. Go Pack, go! Cheese heads on top. We coming into Detroit and we gonna smack them boys and we gonna show them how we play ball over here in green. Bam! Let's go get it. Time to go take over the division.
So that's not gonna happen for a few more years. The Lions are definitely gonna take this one again. Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield. Jared Goff slinging that thing. Yeah, I'm gonna take Lions in this one. But I will say, I do think it's going to be a good matchup. Again, these are division rivals. They have some bad blood between each other. You always kind of like to see that matchup going on. It's the rivalry. You love to see it. So that's Thursday. Then we got some good games for you on Sunday. We got the Panthers versus the Eagles. Now, the Panthers, not a great season, but they've been going toe-to-toe with some of these bigger teams. And you can really tell that Bryce Young is starting to put this game together. He's really starting to develop very well in this league. And you can tell that the Panthers, they're not a few pieces from going to the Super Bowl, but they are a few pieces from going to the playoffs. And that's a much better position than they are now. So Panthers, Eagles, Sunday, 12. So that's that noon slate. I think the Eagles are going to be just a little too much for the Panthers. I'm going to take the Birds in this one. Again, Panthers are starting to get it together, but you just saw how the Eagles were able to go toe-to-toe with the Ravens last week. I think the Panthers fall in this one. I'll take the Eagles.
If you're not having fun with it, you need to quit. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to go with the underdog. Sometimes you just gotta believe in them. And let me break this down for you first. Let me break this down for you first. the Panthers still have a chance to make the playoffs. Now, hear me out.
God,
Hear
no.
me out. The only way for them to make the playoffs, they're sitting at 3-9 right now. A lot of people are counting them out. But if they win the rest of their games, they beat the Eagles, they beat the Cowboys, they beat the Cardinals, they beat the Bucks, and they beat the
It's not
Falcons.
happening. It's not
And if
happening.
the Falcons go 1-4 or don't win another game, and if the Bucks go 2-3 or worse, then they gotta lose to the Panthers. Now look, call me crazy. They do that, they finish the season 8-9, they make it to the playoffs, and they know that. And there's no team that's more dangerous than the team that's still fighting to the end. So give me the goddamn Carolina Panthers to march in and knock off the Eagles, who probably not even looking at them this week, and they getting ready for next week.
You said call you crazy. I'm gonna call you crazy. You're crazy. I don't. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
Man, you gotta have faith. You gotta believe.
You sound like a Cowboys fan, man. When like Romo went down a few years ago, and like we can still make the playoffs, bro. Just wait, Romo gonna come back. No, he's not. He's not, and it's not gonna happen here. So the Eagles take this one. Now we do have a pretty good game, and one that is going to be pretty interesting to see how it goes. We have the Bills versus the Rams. Now we know Mills Mafia and really the whole city of Buffalo is covered in a blanket of snow right now, and it's blizzard games up and down. But they're going to sunny California. The Rams in their home stadium. 425. I think this is one of those games where we really see, are the Bills a contender or a pretender? So for that reason, I'm going to take the Rams in this one. I like, obviously, the receiving core, everything like that. I'm really going to have the Rams win this one, and it's going to I think it's going to send the Bills into a spiral. But nonetheless, I got Rams.
To call the Bills a question mark pretender, maybe, it's kind of a stretch, man, don't you think? Because if you calling them a pretender, that means you gotta be calling the Chiefs a pretender, a team that they beat, and they was the only team that beat the defending two-time back-to-back champs who was undefeated and still haven't lost to anybody but them. We talk about calling somebody crazy. Man, you might be one of those ones. Give me the Bills to go ahead and walk into LA and dominate a struggling Rams team who could barely beat the New Orleans Saints.
All right. Hey, I'm just saying, man. They back home. Now, this is the fun one. This is the really fun one. Sunday night, prime time, Chiefs versus Chargers. I think really one of those things is the Chargers play so much better in prime time. I think that's one thing that I've noticed a lot. Justin Herbert really can turn it on when the lights come on. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm not picking against the two-time champs defending back-to-back. I think they're starting to realize, as they did earlier in the season, for some reason forgot him, that they have the fastest man in the NFL, Xavier Worthy, at their disposal. I think they're starting to get to use him a little bit more. I think they're going to use him more here. So I like the Chiefs in this one. Again, they've had a slip up, sure. At the end of the day, man, it's still Kansas City. And when they got that man 15 back there, yeah, you can never count him out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you on that one. Especially with the news out there about Lad McConkey, basically the number one receiver for the Chargers. I mean, it's real vague, and nobody has really gave a name to it yet. But everybody is saying that he has a very serious knee injury. We don't know if he even is going to play against the Chiefs. And when you miss, consistent, reliable, Wes Walker type of receiver, it's kind of hard to push the ball down the field, especially when J.K. Dobbins isn't playing that either. So now you got to depend on Butterfingers Quentin and Joshua Palmer, who shows up whenever he feels like it. So just as great as Justin Herbert is, I don't think that's enough weapons to have going against a top defense like the Kansas City Chiefs week in and week out. But I will say this. if he ultimately figures out how to win without J.K. Dobbins and Lad McConkey, god damn it. All them talks about top 3 NFL quarterbacks in the league, y'all better put them in there. Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of
Thanks.
it. We could stay in that top 5, but in a moment like this, if he could get it done, let's go ahead and put him in that top 3 conversation. But I'm going to ride with the Chiefs because he missing too many pieces.
Hey, Dub, sign us out, big man.
Hey man, appreciate y'all for tuning in to this episode, especially if y'all made this far into the video. We really appreciate y'all. Really take it in. I hope y'all enjoy everything that we showed y'all here today and reported to you guys. Coaches whose seasons are over with all around the world, hands up to you. Congratulations to you for making it, and even competing in your leagues all around the world. I know your commissioners and everybody who's participated as a coach in your league appreciate the competitors that you brought this season. And if they can't tell you that, we are here to tell you guys that
Absolutely.
here, live, and in effect, But once again, we got the final 4 here to Crash Out League. Team Luck, GBK, MoCity Menace, Smooth Criminal. Which 2 gonna move forward? Which 2 gonna go home? It's your boy A Dub, and I'm with my co-host Manny Boy, and we gonna see y'all again next week.